Hey everyone, want to stick with us versus herd. Let me know how you did today on the stock market in the comments. If you made money today, comment got paid. If you lost money today, comment learned a lesson. And if you want to join the UVH fam, our community, link is below in the description to our Discord and our options trading group on Facebook. Now, what I want to talk about is earnings were right ahead of the election. We have a huge earnings week here. Microsoft actually just reported, and they actually, they beat every expectation. Their cloud business is up 47%, 48% compared to the prior quarter. I mean, they just blew it out of the water. But as you can see here, Microsoft is only 10 cents low. It's 10 cents lower than where it closed at. Closed at 213.25. It's at 213.14 right now. Expected move was $9. So Microsoft really didn't do a whole lot here. I mean, it's basically the same price it was last quarter, and here we are again, just chilling. So the question is, is earnings priced in? Like, what is actually going on? And the market overall is kind of tricky in general. The S&P really had an inside day from where we opened up at. We are drifting lower right now for the S&P. If we're looking at the S&P futures, we did finally break range, but all day long, like if you look at SPY, all day long, we just ping back and forth by about $1.50. 338.50, and then 340 was the top, and just kind of pinged back and forth, which you could have had some good day trades here. For my P&L, kind of go over it real quick. My P&L, I actually lost $80 on the S&Ps. I'm down a little bit on the NASDAQ futures. I did make some money on the Dow, and I made some money shorting AMD, and I'm currently in UPS earnings, so I'll cover that in just a second. So kind of a slow day for me, honestly. I haven't been doing that much. Like this week, with the way things have been going, I haven't been really loading in. I've just been kind of taking it easy because I don't want to bag hold any of my positions into next week for the election. I want to just kind of chill, stay low. Right now I only have 2 trades on, relatively safe. I'm short the NASDAQ. I'm also short UPS for earnings, which I'll cover that in just a second. But what I want to talk about here is, earnings, where the stock market is. And for SPY in particular, I think that we're in a very dangerous place right here. It's trying to push up. The 10-day moving average is starting to go lower. We're below the 50-day moving average, and I honestly think that 335, 334 area is the next stop for SPY. The Qs, kind of looking at the Qs, today it did close green. It was the only index that closed green. Dow was red, S&P was red, Russell was red. But the Qs managed to hold on. We did close below the 50-day moving average, but today we did close above the 50-day moving average. So, I think a lot has to do with, tech earnings and, the overall slate. I mean, this week we have some major catalysts. Microsoft and AMD already reported, but we still have Amazon, we still have Facebook, we still have Apple, we have Google, Alphabet, Twitter. I mean, so we still have some big companies looking to report earnings for this week. So I feel like the market is just kind of trying to stay afloat. But if we look back at like Twilio had great numbers as well in terms of their business, and they came down. They had earnings Monday after market close. Twilio, they're down $14 today. I mean, yesterday they moved a little bit lower, and then after market closed, they reported earnings, and then just kind of they try to stay up, but it's been selling off. A couple days ago it was 310, now it's 284. Was down almost 5% on the day. Closed near the low of the day, and it's drifting a little bit lower after hours right now. So really, what is going on here? I mean, if you look at all these charts, look at Twilio. really high up here. If we look at Microsoft, again, also relatively high, and I'm kind of thinking at this point, earnings is priced in, and at this point the market's not going any higher. Like it's just not. Back in here for Microsoft was mainly moving due to the TikTok news, and that didn't really, come to anything in terms of, I mean, it went to Oracle and Microsoft lost in the deal. I mean, it did crash a little bit, but, maintaining around the 210 area. So I'm on deck to watch where Microsoft's going for like the 208, 205 area. I mean, it could come down to those levels, and it doesn't look like anyone's really buying anything ahead of the election. Everyone's we're kind of wait and see mode. Apple in particular, kind of looking at Apple, I thought this was going to push 120 ahead of earnings, but we just have no momentum. It did close green today. Yesterday it closed green by a penny, but we just have no momentum here, and it's stuck below the 50-day, below the 10-day, and just kind of gradually going a little bit lower. Tomorrow, can it pop up? Absolutely, but I think at this point, the only reason why it's up this high is because they did the stock split. I don't actually think, they're going to actually report that amazing of earnings, especially when they delayed the iPhone, and the iPhone sales are not going to be in the previous quarter. So I think they're going to be a little bit of trouble. However, Amazon, I think, will be the only company that could potentially do fairly well this week. I mean, they have earnings as well. The expected move on them, I think, is like $200. Yeah, $195 is the expected move on Amazon, and I really like how it's been basing out around 3,200 here, and it had a nice pump today, even though the market didn't do that well. But yesterday it tried to do what it did today, but it failed miserably. And then today it actually held on. So the question is kind of what's going to happen here. I'm watching Amazon particularly. Is it going to come back down to that 3,200 level, or are we going to try to push to 3,400 pre-earnings? I think that, Amazon's probably the safest business in terms of any of the tech companies because they're very COVID safe. Our reliance on Amazon has greatly increased. I mean, it's the same with Microsoft, but it just seems that people are paying more attention to Amazon, and they're just, their company is growing at an enormous pace due to COVID. And, even though Microsoft is growing, it just seems priced in. I mean, can Amazon be priced in here? Absolutely. Now, UPS, looking at UPS, they have earnings tomorrow morning. I am short UPS, but a very, 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 very small position. So I am short the 167.50 call, and I'm long the 170. I put that on for $1.25 credit. And if you look here, kind of what I needed to go, implied volatility was rather high. So let me crush this by about 30% here. I'll take it down by like 35%. So I'll take implied volatility down by 35%. So I really, if we come down to like the 165, I'll be up like $30-$40. We're not going to get that big of a premium crush being on a Wednesday. So Thursday and Friday would be a lot heavier premium crush. I mean, Tastyworks, if you use the analysis mode, it doesn't get it 100% right. I'll probably be up a little bit more money than, like, if it comes down to 165, I'll probably be up a little bit more money, but than the $30 or $40. But I did sell the 167.50, so there's some time. Anything above 175, we're probably going to be closer to max loss. I mean, 185 theoretically I'll only be down 90, but my max loss is 125. So I felt like it was a very low risk trade, trying to sell some premium that was around 100% implied volatility. Now, if you look at UPS, I mean, it's blasting off after hours here. Close at 170. We had a little bit of a dip this afternoon, came back up, but UPS, I mean, has been consolidating, ripped up, consolidating again. I mean, if you look at the last earnings, I mean, it was enormous. So I'm doubtful that it's going to happen again. And if it does, we'll cover our losses in some day trades and stuff like that. But if you look at FedEx, they got demolished last earnings. Just, they did the same thing, major gap up on earnings because of coronavirus. And then the previous earnings, nothing good happened, popped up, and then it came right back down. So I'm looking for a similar play for UPS right now. FedEx chart is a lot cleaner. UPS is a little bit more sloppy. So I'm kind of hoping that we'll come back down to like the 160 area is what my target is for UPS. Now, with all these earnings, people are like, oh man, I thought this week was going to be a baller week. I thought we were going to have, crazy. I mean, even AMD they posted amazing earnings too, but the downfall to them, the market didn't like they're going to buy Xilinx, so for $35 billion. And now I think long term, I think that it's going to be good, but short term, yeah, it's gonna restrict some cash for them. So AMD was another one of those stocks. I actually set out on earnings. I'm not really trading. Like I didn't trade Microsoft earnings. I didn't trade Twilio earnings. I didn't trade a lot of these earnings. I'm trading UPS. Was my first earnings trade. Last week I traded Netflix, or the week prior to that I traded Netflix when they posted earnings. I was short, but AMD, was also priced in. I definitely think that 75 is on deck. I did catch it a little bit this morning on this down move here. I did buy around 80, and I wrote it down in like the 78 area. So I caught this. We made a quick, what was it, $56, which was about 20%. Like I said, I'm trading very, very small going into the election. I'm not looking to make $500, $1,000 a day. I'm trying to be relatively conservative and really pay attention to where my risk is, because I don't want to be forced to hold anything beyond what I am currently, more than a day, essentially. I don't want to go into the election. I don't want to go into the weekend. I don't want to hold on Monday. So right now, I'm just trying to day trade. But even with the amazing earnings, they did announce they're buying Xilinx, and this is still. I think they're in a bad place here. I think that 75. If this breaks 75, I mean, anything can happen here. However, with AMD, you have to be very careful shorting them, because you essentially, a lot of people want to buy. A lot of people are like, oh man, I missed the run up. I wish I went long at 30. I wish I went long at 50. I wish I went long. I wish I went long. I wish I went long. And then anytime it gets a major dip, it gets bought up. So just be careful when trading AMD, but it looks like the market is a little bit capped out here. Doesn't look like, even with good earnings, we're going higher. There's just too much at risk. So if you watch this video to the end, comment, watch to the end, hit the like button, and as always, stay safe, stay green. It's us versus herd.